What is up, music lovers? For those of you who don't already know, my name is Seth, and on this channel I review albums. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that you're probably going to want to stick around to the end for a pretty special giveaway. Today's album review is extremely close to my heart and extremely special to me because it's a brand new album that just released today from one of my favorite bands of all time. The album is called The North Star, and it's by Remedy Drive. The North Star is an anti-sex trafficking album, and it is a follow-up to 2014's anti-sex trafficking album titled Commodity. The North Star's name is inspired by the newspaper of the same name by abolitionist Frederick Douglass. The insert of the album has the lyrics on it, and it was actually modeled from that newspaper. Both of these albums are centered around what lead singer David Zock witnesses on his trips with an organization called the Exodus Road, where he goes to Southeast Asia. David has gone on undercover missions to brothels in the red light district on the other side of the world to find out which of them are participating in not only sex trafficking, but trafficking children. Their purpose is to find out who's doing it and find a way to put an end to it. David has transformed his journeys into two amazing albums that will break your heart but also give you a lot of hope for these children who are bought and sold every day. The North Star, however, packs a bit more of a punch than its predecessor. The North Star really gets into the grittiness of the reality of what's going on all over the world. And on this album, there are a lot of people who get called out, and I'm sure it's bound to piss a lot of people off. But if people get pissed off for being called out while listening to this album, they deserve to be. There's no excuse at all for these people to stand idly by and enjoy lavish lifestyles while preaching one thing and practicing another. The North Star features David Zock on vocals, keys, and guitars, Philip Zock on synths, bass, and background vocals, Corey Horn on additional guitars, ukulele, and background vocals, and Timmy Jones, also known as the Duke, on drums. There are 12 songs on the album, and it is Remedy Drive's longest album to date, clocking in at just under an hour long. Just a disclaimer, everything I say about these songs on this album is purely my interpretation and doesn't necessarily reflect the actual meaning behind each song. Hope you guys are ready to jump in and feel a crazy, wild, wide range of emotion because it's time to crack this album open.
You've got fire running through your veins. Don't let it.
The North Star opens up with You Got Fire, and right from the beginning you can see what I mean about this album being a lyrical masterpiece. There are so many references to the things that David has been fighting against, mixed brilliantly with biblical references. The songs in this album are a big freaking beacon shining through the night for what I feel is lacking in Christian music. The fact that anything real isn't talked about is why so many Christians are scared to talk about ugly truths. Christian music is almost exclusively about how God loves us and everything is going to be fine if we just pray and trust in God. Which is fine to a degree, but it's not the sole subject that Christian music or even Christianity should focus on. And this song sets the groundwork of that part of the message of the album fantastically. The premise of the song is that we all have a fire deep inside of ourselves, a fire that makes us yearn to be part of something greater than ourselves. And that's a central part of what the North Star focuses on. One of my favorite quotes from David is, "We are propelled forward by a strange force. This longing to participate in the freedom of another human being. This purpose, it burns in the deepest chambers of our souls. It's blue fire in our veins. It's woven into the very fabric of our DNA, and it's tugging at our heartstrings." I believe this song is the musical manifestation of that quote, and I believe David's right, and he does an amazing job of bringing that quote to life through his music and his everyday actions. This song is such a strong opening statement to an album dedicated to what David has devoted his life to. My first impressions were musically it's solid and precise, and the lyrics are so deep and meaningful. David sounds amazing, and then boom, he starts like fast singing. He's basically rapping just for like 2 lines or so. But it was such a surprise to me because I never expected to hear this style of music from David and Remedy Drive. It works extremely well though, and David pulls it off flawlessly. But that's not the only surprise of the song. Rachel Lampa appears on the track and beautifully sings the chorus towards the end of the song. And Rachel, if you're watching this for some reason and I messed up your name, I am so sorry. After being thoroughly surprised twice by the song, I couldn't wait to hear what the rest of the album had to offer, and luckily, it did not disappoint. The second song on the North Star is a song that I had the privilege of hearing an early edit of when I visited Nashville in August of 2017. David and I went to a concert together, and while we were waiting for the concert to start, he pulled out his phone and graciously let me listen. I couldn't hear it all that well because we were in an arena with around 20,000 other people, and I was listening through a phone speaker. But even with all of that, I remember thinking that this is unlike anything I've ever heard before. This is something that was really special. The song is called Warlike, like I said, and oh my gosh, was I right in my assumption. David is straight up calling everyone out. Everyone from fake evangelicals to special interest groups. Pretty much everyone who preaches one thing, but then practices another. When I said this album was going to piss off a lot of people who deserve to be pissed off, this is the main song I was thinking of when I said that. The raw energy emanating from Warlike is astounding. I feel like this song might be David's best lyrical work of any song he's written to date, tied only maybe with the fourth song on the album. David is a lyrical wizard as it is, but this song just takes it to another level. The most powerful line of the song for me comes right at the end when he starts off by saying, "You don't look a thing like Jesus Christ to me." The next time you listen to it, or the first time you listen to it, really soak in the lyrics after he opens with that, and then sit down and think about all the people who talk the talk and then don't walk the walk. It's amazing some of the conclusions that you will come to. The third song of the album is Brighter Than Apathy, and this is where I feel like the central message of the album comes into play. Even though we all may feel like sometimes we're only one person and we can't make a difference, but this song highlights that that's not true. David often uses a quote from Cloud Atlas about how we're nothing more than a drop in a limitless ocean, but what is any ocean but a multitude of drops? It only takes one person to make a difference. As the song says, one spark to catch a fire and one voice to form a choir. When one person decides to stand up from the pit of apathy, others will eventually join in. Sometimes that takes a long time, and sometimes it doesn't, but no matter how long it does take, you've got to keep pushing through and keep fighting the good fight. This song does a really good job of pointing that out and encouraging others to go out there and do it by once again calling people out. But this time David is calling out everyone in the audience listening to the song. He's telling all of us that we need to act when we see injustice in the world. Not just give our thoughts and prayers, because they will not suffice. The people who are being oppressed don't want our pity, they want our help. Let God act through us instead of praying that someone else will. The song does such a good job of lighting a fire and inspiring people that it has inspired me to get off of my butt and take part in something bigger than myself. I'll talk more about that at another time in another video though. But then another surprise right at the end of the song is a great big chorus of refugees that I believe was recorded in a church in Nashville with Timmy Jones and his wife and David, and then this group of refugees, which, if I remember correctly, came from the Congo. And that is just incredible to me. Everybody that was involved in that song is mentioned in the insert.
Precious girl from the countryside, the only daughter of a farmer's bride.
The fourth song on the album is the song that hit me the hardest, and it's called Sunlight on Her Face. It is absolutely gut-wrenching when you think about the horrors that David has witnessed that inspired not only this song, but the album as a whole, as well as Commodity. But it really came to life, for me at least, in this song. Sunlight on Her Face, in my opinion, should be the song used to recruit people for the abolitionist movement, for the fight against sex trafficking, because it is haunting, it's beautiful, hopeful, and heartbreaking all at the same time. This is the first time an album version of a song has made me cry the first time I ever heard it. Maybe you're watching this video and thinking that this is some kind of social justice warrior garbage, but if this song doesn't at least tug on your heartstrings, there is something seriously wrong with you. This is inspired by the real-life horrors that were witnessed in the red light districts of Southeast Asia. This is real life, and these are real stories and real people that have been affected by sex trafficking. I'm amazed at the tenacity and hopefulness in these songs, and especially this one, and I'm reminded every time I hear them what an amazing privilege it is to say that I know these guys.
Won't you help me see?
Song number 5 is something we haven't seen from Remedy Drive in about 12 years, and that's a cover song on an album. Redemption Song is a Bob Marley and the Wailers cover, and I'm so glad that we finally have an album version of it. Remedy Drive has been playing this song live for the past 3 or 4 years now, and to be able to hear their version of it at any time I want is a blessing in and of itself. Redemption Song fits perfectly in the context of the North Star, and anytime an artist can cover a song and make it their own, but still pay homage to the original version is a win in my book, and they did it marvelously.
I see wolves dressed up in suits as they feed in the margins. Lone sharks on the loose.
We are halfway through the album now with track number 6, and it is I Don't Belong to You. And I feel like it has a few different meanings and or perspectives. Like I said in the beginning, please keep in mind that these are my thoughts and assumptions as to what the meanings are, and it could be completely wrong in regards to what the actual meaning behind the lyrics is. The first and most obvious to me in terms of the album is the possession of a human being. Slavery is unnatural and unjust from whatever way you try to view it, and the song is a defiant jab at those who would, for whatever reason, disagree with that notion. The second, and maybe not so obvious but kind of implied meaning that I picked up on is the fact that Remedy Drive is not contractually obligated to put out any certain style of music. Remedy Drive left their music label back in 2012 or 2013, I'm not sure exactly when, but it was because the label did not want to get behind the album that David wanted to write, which ended up being Commodity. Since Remedy Drive is not required to put out any certain style of song, about any certain subject matter, they can write and sing about whatever they want, and that's exactly what happened with Commodity and now the North Star. Obviously, I can't speak for the guys, but I imagine that it has to be pretty liberating to be able to create art that you are truly passionate about without having to answer to anyone. And the third and final meaning that I believe to be associated with this song is something mentioned in Warlike, and these fake evangelicals taking ownership of Christ and Christianity to make a quick buck. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think that's what David is referring to when he sings about "You're not my image or my likeness." Maybe all of my thoughts are true, maybe none of them are. But at the core of the song, I believe the message is that humans don't have the rights to own other humans.
Run wild against the tide. Chariots of fire on the hillside.
At the top of the bottom half of the album, song number 7 is also the first single that was released from the North Star, and it's titled Polaris. Polaris is another name for the North Star, which is a direct reference to the name of the album. The actual physical North Star in American history was famously used to help slaves to freedom as they escaped slavery in the Underground Railroad in the South to seek freedom in the North during the Civil War. The song acts kind of as a modern-day version of that in the sense that it acts as a beacon, but instead of a direct beacon to the oppressed, Polaris calls out to the listener again to get involved in one way or another to participate in being part of freeing another human being. Polaris highlights how we all have our sphere of influence and can make a difference. One just needs the courage to speak up.
Will you light a lamp for me beside the golden door? I fled through the itchy.
Track number 8, titled Sanctuary, seems to be largely written through the eyes of a refugee trying to flee various conflicts. Sanctuary is a plea from that refugee for someone to help them. They'd never put themselves or their children in danger unless they believed whatever was waiting for them at the end of a treacherous and dangerous journey, both on land and water, was safer than what they were living through at the present time. It's no secret how controversial letting refugees into countries has been, especially recently, but David still sees helping people who flee oppression as not only the right thing to do, but the Christian thing to do. Helping the poor and the oppressed is something Christ preached about on numerous occasions, So from this perspective, it is our duty and obligation to hear the call and help in whatever way we can. This isn't exactly a popular perspective, but it is honest, and it's pretty brave to put these beliefs into the form of a song and sing about it without reservation. Now, while a majority of this song is written from a refugee's perspective, when rapper Propaganda makes his guest appearance on the song, another surprise, he gets back into the central message of the album as a whole. That we all have an obligation to help those in need, and that there are breaches in what many people are preaching, and how many of us have failed to make our Father unashamed of us.
Take me to the King's kingdom.
Things slow down with track number 9, titled Kingdom. After such heavy subject matter in the bulk of the album, I think it's a perfect breather. Coming in at only 59 seconds long, Kingdom is short and to the point. After everything that has been talked about throughout the album, I would imagine that David did need something beautiful. Things don't stay slow for long, and they pick right back up for track number 10. Is it just me, or does the synth part for Endless sound like something that would come out of an 80s action game or movie? It sounds so freaking cool. Endless is another anthem dedicated to the abolition of people who are oppressed, and that those who fight for their freedom, the fight is endless. We just have to hold on, and we will win the battle. In the opening lines of Endless, I feel like it's following in the same kind of theme of an older Remedy Drive song from 2006 called Statues. That being that this plastic paradise that we've created for ourselves on Earth is not really our home. There's also a little Easter egg reference to Lord of the Rings in this song, so let me know if you catch it.
City walls are falling, the waves are rushing in.
What is technically the last song on the North Star is track number 11, titled Disappear. This song is a blast from the past, as it comes from Remedy Drive's 2011 EP titled Light Makes a Way. Just like Redemption Song not being written for the exclusive purpose of the album, it fits perfectly on the North Star. It's also really exciting as a fan to see some of these older songs show back up on newer Remedy Drive albums with a modern Remedy Drive sound. After such an in-your-face album, Disappear brings back the mellow tone that we kind of heard in Kingdom and is a perfect closing to the album. But wait, there's more! Song on the album is also track number 4, but with a slight variance. Instead of guitars and various other instruments, this version of Sunlight on Her Face features a cello. It's so exciting and was pretty unexpected, but I'm beyond happy that they decided to include this version on the album. This is the perfect way to close out the album. Okay, so there it is. Those are my views on the North Star. What did you guys think? Am I correct in some of my interpretations, or am I dead freaking wrong? Let me know down below. For those of you who have made it this far, I am doing a giveaway of the North Star, but it's not just a simple little CD giveaway. This very CD, by the time, just to let you know, by the time this video goes live, I will be in Nashville with David Zock to celebrate the release of this album, and I will be getting him and everyone else who was involved in the making of the album that I see while in Nashville to sign this very CD. If you want to win, all you have to do is be subscribed to me, give this video a thumbs up, and comment what your favorite Remedy Drive song is. It doesn't have to be from the North Star, but if it is, sweet! If you want an extra entry into this giveaway, you can also share this video on whatever social media you use with the hashtag SethReviewsRD. I'll leave that along with links to purchase the North Star and follow Remedy Drive and myself on social media in the description down below. If you do share the video on social media, however, make sure that your profile is public, otherwise I will not be able to see it and count your entry. Entries will be accepted for the month, and the winner will be announced on February 16th. Good luck everybody, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.